When do adoptive parents get to feel like actual parents? I'm not sure how long I've been gone from this channel. I'm back. Today on Be For Real Vlogs, I will be talking about Tyler and Catelynn. And we don't even have to say no last names. We know exactly who Tyler and Catelynn are. And we know that because we've been watching them for the past 15 or so years. They were like the first generation of teen moms on the show 16 and Pregnant. And of course, the show shows the ups, the downs, the trials, and the tribulations of young people getting pregnant. But in Tyler and Catelynn's circumstance, they chose something different than everybody else. Everybody else, no matter how hard, they didn't choose adoption. And to choose adoption is a huge thing. It takes very brave people. But I will be talking about the downfalls of adoption and what is happening with Tyler and Catelynn's relationship or lack thereof with their firstborn daughter's adoptive parents. Now, Tyler and Catelynn chose adoption because Catelynn's mama wasn't shit, Tyler's dad wasn't shit, and as a result of that, Catelynn's mom and Tyler's dad started going together. Okay, so they wasn't good on their own. You know, they wasn't good separately before they met each other. And it wasn't good when they got together and was trying to do this whole family thing. Tyler and Catelynn knew each other first, so that is why they continued dating even though their parents started to date. So they had valid reasons. Above everything else, they weren't ready. So it takes really good people to know that and know that they have nothing, not even love to give, or it could be strictly about financials. But as far as what Catelynn explained, and a lot of people can relate to that, is if you have always had a rocky relationship with your mother, you don't feel that you've been instilled with that motherly quality, right? I digress on that. They did this adoption over 15 years ago, straight up out the hospital. Catelynn gave, well, I think they was in a parking lot after, I don't know, something like that. But they handed the baby over shortly after the baby was born. Prior to the baby being born, they had somebody, this lady right here, explain everything to them. Most of the time, especially once the child got older, she was kind of the go-between. She's really always been the go-between, but it is not like they were misinformed on how it was going to go. That is where we're at. Now, you may ask, where are we? So Tyler did a question and answer on Instagram recently, and he expressed how he feels about his non-existent relationship or communication with Brandon and Theresa. Brandon and Theresa are Carly's adoptive parents. Mind you, I should have known that Carly was 15. All of Tyler and Catelynn's children look so much alike, it's uncanny. So I thought she was younger than that. And that's why they're like so, demanding. For most of her life, Brandon and Theresa has been very patient with Catelynn and Tyler. Well, that is changing. In this question and answer, Tyler was being completely honest. He was being very transparent. But he did reveal quite a few things unknowingly that I observed. And my thing is, I think that a lot of people are missing the fact that an open and closed adoption is very, very similar. There's still not a lot of leeway that biological parents can have when it comes to an open adoption. I think that when people think of an open adoption, they think of, oh, you can drop by and see them whenever. We'll come together during every holiday and all of these things. I believe that's what Tyler and Catelynn want. And they've wanted all these years, but it seems like they are just thinking about how they feel about it versus how Carly will feel and how Brandon and Theresa would feel. So after Carly was born, Tyler and Catelynn stayed together, and a few years down the line, they started to have more children. It seems like after they had children of their own, they became more demanding about their kids that they have now being in Carly's life, when it's like, wait a minute. That is not how we started this, and we're not going to keep adding new things. Like, a relationship with her siblings would be a no-brainer if it wasn't a situation like this, unfortunately. I think that Catelynn and Tyler are moving as if they're running out of time. And honestly, she'll be 18 in no time. So it's not like we're talking about somebody who is 7 or 6 and you have umpteenth years to get through to be able to do that. Do I think that they are being pushy, especially Tyler? Yes, I do. I think that in a situation like this, a lot of people wouldn't expect the biological parents to want to still be so involved. And it's a blessing that y'all never forget about her. Y'all, with every breath y'all take, with every move that y'all make, and how y'all talk to y'all kids, I'll get into that. But, y'all always are bringing up Carly's name, which is great. But it can backfire. And it can backfire because you start to bring up a child's name that isn't around. You start to show pictures to your children, and it gets to the point where you're not only the ones that are hounding Brandon and Theresa, your kids are hounding you about seeing Carly, and that makes you up the ante on messages and trying to get in contact. He even said that he feels a type of way about not having a location to where Carly is. And it's like, that's not how adoption works. It will always be a situation where you drop things off. It's a middleman. There's always a situation where you can't just send whatever you want to send. You have to see if that can be approved. If it can, then it'll be a system put in place to where Carly can get it. But I recall in the live him talking about a blanket that had all of their faces on it and that they wanted to give to Brandon and Theresa for Carly. And while that is sentimental, it's very nice, it's beautiful even, it is overstepping because you're pushing it on your kids that this is your sister, and they look at their own sister and they're like, well, we should be closer. Like, let's do this. I want to do this with my sister like I do with that one. And something like that, you can't even begin to explain to kids why. I think that in all of the communication that Tyler has said that he, messaged Brandon and Theresa multiple times, and they have recently said, that they want their space. They want time with their daughter. My question is, in a situation like this, when do adoptive parents get to feel like actual parents? A lot of people are just thinking of how they feel bad for Tyler and Catelynn, but what about adoptive parents in general that never truly feel like parents? And it's because of situations like this, overstepping, hounding even. And I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon and Theresa cease and desist and really take legal action, because it is a lot. Like, y'all was filming when they didn't want anything to be filmed. Y'all had mics on when y'all was talking to them. It has always been a breach. It has always been a breach. And I feel like Brandon and Theresa have been very, very patient. Seeing as though, especially Carly is 15 now. It's like when the documentation says that all of these things can happen up to 5, and then the adoptive parents can use their discretion, that's exactly what they did. With what Brandon and Theresa gave them, they still haven't took time to really appreciate it. I even heard Tyler say something along the lines of, I wish I could have picked different parents for Carly, when it's like, hey, listen, if she turns into a drug addict or something down the line, maybe you could say that. If something really truly bad happens, a horrific accident or something, and it's their fault, then you can say that. But if she is healthy, if she is smiling, if she's having a good childhood, that's not fair to say. Just because you can't get your way. Come on now. Come on, Tyler. Come on. Y'all made a decision, and a lot of people are making it about what it's not about. Many teenagers have given up their children for adoption. And I do agree that none of them go on this hunt or try to keep up the communication. They might down the line say, I want to know who she became. I want to say sorry. I want to reach out. But that's well after their child becomes an adult. It's pros and cons to trying to move like that, because as an adoptive parent, putting myself in Brandon and Theresa's shoes, Tyler and Catelynn stayed together and then went on to have more kids. It's like, I understand that it is a big regret. It is one of their biggest regrets, right? To have put their child up for adoption. But y'all stayed together. Y'all had more kids. I know that Brandon and Theresa's like, why would you even go through the adoption process to then stay together, have more children, and expect so much, but not see that Brandon and Theresa have done a lot? They have. They're religious people. I'm not going to say that they're all the way good, because I don't see religious people as all the way good. You know, it'd be some demons in a closet or whatever, but Carly has a right to have a peaceful childhood. Her biological parents shouldn't keep coming up as, you know, oh, they're talking shit about this, or oh, they're talking about my parents. I'm pretty sure that Carly sees them as mom and dad. And that's not a dig on Tyler and Catelynn, but Carly has been raised by these two folk, by this married couple. And it's something that I think that Tyler and Catelynn forget, that seeing this loving married couple helped them to become the married couple that they are today. And I say that because the image of Brandon and Theresa, y'all would have ended up saying no if they wasn't good people, and if it wasn't an image of them that you respected. That's not fair. Just because it's not going your way. You are asking for too much at a time where she is literally going to be 18 like that. So I don't think it's fair to keep trying to send stuff and keep trying to have all this communication and expecting to spend every holiday. That's not what Brandon and Theresa signed up for. It's truly not. Tyler especially thinks of what's fair and what he expects. And what he expects, from my recollection, is an answer to his why the situation is the way it is now. Like he didn't have the lady explaining the whole process. She's going to be grown soon. So if it's something that you have to wait for, you do. Because something that they wouldn't expect could happen. And what if Carly turns 18 and she's not ready yet? Are y'all going to still be like, well, we're ready. We've been ready. So you have to do it now. You have to talk to us now. She doesn't. She doesn't. And I know that once Carly becomes a grown woman, she will respect that y'all have always been there and trying. That's what you're supposed to do. And y'all did that. I'm sure that she will appreciate that. And she will be like, wow, they never forgot me. And Tyler and Catelynn are stand up people for being like that, right? But it comes to a certain point where you cannot hound the adoptive parents, to spend all of this extra time, and now you got kids and y'all don't, they never considered how Carly would feel. Like, they don't consider how she would feel awkward. They don't even think about that. And I also seen a conversation that they were having, and it was Tyler, Catelynn, and one of their younger children. And she brought up Carly and was like, I want to bring Carly over here. And Tyler, I mean, I feel like Catelynn tried to say it, in a way where it didn't seem so bad, but she was like, I don't think she'll be spending summer with us. And Tyler just came in and was just like, no, she can't come over here because Brandon and Theresa said no. And it's like, you can't. One thing that you should never do is, with the resentment that you have, you should never want to spread that to your kids and have them view other grown adults as evil and as bad guys when they are in fact not. And even if you feel like that, like, I just didn't like that scene. I didn't like that. I felt like it was an easier way to say it. It was a better way to say it. But is it sad? Yes, it is sad. It's sad that, for what they want, they can't get. That's what I'll say. Are they expecting too much? Yes. They have expected too much over years and years. I mean, it's to the point where this has been the same thing for years that I didn't even know how old the damn girl was. And I should, because Jace from Teen Mom, he around 16 or so. Chelsea's daughter Aubrey is around 15. So all of them are getting up there in age. So I just think that Tyler and Catelynn need to wait. I really do. I think that they need to wait and let her live her life. Because y'all are not going to be the end all be all regardless. Like, she's going to be out of high school, on to college, hopefully get into sports, something productive, be working. Let her live her life. And she will come back to you. Just as you've always wanted to find her, and y'all will be able to know those things once she is older. But let Brandon and Theresa feel like the parents. I can't stand it because it's just like they treat Brandon and Theresa as if they are the babysitters. I don't like that. Is it a factor of them being young too, is why they don't understand things now, in the adoption process that they had 15, 16 years ago? It is a factor of age, but it's also a factor of not listening to important information. I'm sure there's printed documentation too, so they really need to reevaluate their paperwork. Maybe if it was possible to put a clause in there that if they get themselves together in the course of those 5 years and can prove it, that they could have got her back. But I mean, adoption is one of those things that you really got to be sure. You really do. You got to be sure that you made the right decision, and you have to be patient. You can't be hounding a motherfucker who did a lot, and on the contrary of them doing a lot, you don't feel like they did. And because they're not going along with all of your demands and showing up on holidays and all of these things, they're not going along with it, so you have a lot of negative things to say about them. I love Tyler and Catelynn. I really do. I just hope that they come to terms with their decision. I hope that they realize that, if you look at it in another perspective, whether it be Carly's, Brandon and Theresa, somebody on the outside who doesn't have favoritism towards any of them, right? I hope that they are able to see that a lot of the frustration that they feel, it all boils back to them making a decision to put her up for adoption. You can't be upset at anybody else. And it's people out here with extremely good hearts that I promise you, it's people out here just like them who made that very decision. But you have to respect it enough because you did it. You were a participant in it. You have to respect adoption enough that you were giving your child a better life. And that's still happening. I can see if, they ended up divorcing, the mom ended up drinking a lot, she a mess now, she don't even look how she looked it. You feel me? And dad ain't in the child life no more. Like, they never lost control. And they did help. You have to, whenever you have a chance to see pictures of your child, you should be grateful that good people have raised her. I don't like for him or for anybody to look at adoption in such a way where it's like, I don't even know what you thought would happen. I don't know. I'm not sure. The only time that I know it could be a thing where a child is in limbo of going back to the biological parents is if it's some court case. And, you just have to wait a few more years. It's just that simple. But having a good relationship, something where Brandon and Theresa don't have to watch and worry and be all on y'all back, you gotta wait. And I would hate for it to turn legal, but it is like a smear campaign that Tyler is on, especially. And I could say Catelynn too, but also the teen mom shit. The whole production and all that. They gotta be, it's like they're spewing negativity to the point where people are using favoritism in this and they don't need to. And once explained, it's like, okay, you had open communication up until 5. You had phone calls, pictures, updates, visits. You had that. And right around the 6th year is when they slowed everything down and really started putting boundaries up. It's like they did exactly what was told of them. They did what was required. So, the fact that it's just not good enough is just insane to me. Without a thank you, no thank yous, no, it's all about why aren't you letting me do this? Why aren't you letting me do that? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? And it's not about y'all no more. Like, y'all gave y'all child up for a greater cause, for y'all to have greater opportunities, for all of them as a family to have greater opportunities. So I don't respect the fact that he said that he wished his kids was with different people. Honestly, motherfuckers could look like they're cookie cutter and be very, very evil people. I don't feel that about Brandon and Theresa. And you could have picked somebody different, but shit could have turned out way worse. So you got to be careful of what you ask for. So I will be coming back to y'all once a week, once or twice a week, and just updating y'all on something that has triggered me to speak. Okay? So it's your girl B Octavia. I will see y'all in my next video. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. And I'm going to see y'all soon.